Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. So if you guys have been on my channel before, you might have seen me do a couple reviews on some of the movies in the franchise, including The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, which I'll link down below, and also The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from the 80s, which I'll also link down below. You might be wondering why I would choose to dive into this particular franchise, because it is not known to be the best of horror franchises, but I'm actually a huge fan of the first film, and after seeing Texas Chainsaw 2022, I became very interested in what the other movies might have to offer, because spoiler alert, I was pretty disappointed by 2022's installment. So that being said, let's talk about this movie. This movie came out in 1997, that's actually when I was born. Wait, it actually says 95 or 97, so I'm not quite sure. So after leaving their prom early, innocent Jenny and three other teenagers, and by the way, innocent Jenny is played by Renee, and this is such a weird, this is such a typical horror movie character. So innocent Jenny and three other teenagers crash their car into the backwoods of Texas. In their search for help, they run into Vilmer Slaughter. I'm just going to refer to him as Matthew McConaughey though. A vicious psychopath with a mechanical leg and his twisted family, including the serial killer Leatherface. As the group of friends struggle to survive the maniacal, how do you say that word, methods of torture, Jenny discovers the secret origins behind the family's lust for blood. So right from the start, we have some very unlikable characters which are killed off pretty early on, luckily, in the story. The friend group is a little bit odd here, and a lot of the characters are quite annoying. But of course, our girl, Renee Zellweger, she's very quiet at the beginning of the film and she turns more into our final girl hero by the end. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking spoilers in this video because if you haven't seen this, it's an old movie. Honestly, if you're watching this video, you've probably seen this or other installments in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I'm all about Jenny as our final girl in this. I think she does a really fun job, and I love how she's always screaming, "Oh God, and what are you going to do to me?" the entire time. That's what she's doing. Now the weird part about this is where in Texas is this house supposed to be? Because I remember at the end of the first movie, or the beginning of the second actually, they said that they never found the location of the house after investigating, and they weren't able to find the missing teenagers or the missing kids. They're not actually teenagers, they're supposed to be a little older, I think. I don't know. The original crew from the first movie was never found. So the interesting thing about this movie though is these teenagers, while kind of on a weird road, are able to find this after prom, which means it's not actually quite as far out as we would expect it to be, but whatever, we're gonna put logistics aside because this movie is not, of course, the most logistically accurate, I guess. I think the lighting outside is changing a lot, so I apologize for that. So basically in every movie they introduce a new psychopathic character that's part of the Sawyer family, and in this case we get Matthew McConaughey, but I just could not take him seriously with his mechanical leg that's controlled by a remote control, which Renee is able to use against him at parts in the film. Okay, one thing that did bother me a little bit about this movie though is a lot of the violence, I guess, in this movie is just Matthew McConaughey hitting the other characters, just straight up hitting them or smacking them and just kind of abusing them, including his wife, or girlfriend, I'm not sure which it is, but she's part of this too, and it's really strange, honestly. Even though this movie is entertaining, honestly, what is this as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? I know there's just these maniac characters that are totally psychopathic, just being crazy, acting crazy the whole time, but this one just took it a little bit too far. There's a weird kind of detective guy who is in on this or something, and at one point he licks Jenny's face. It's so gross. Is it Jenny or the other girl? I think it was Jenny. Is the movie quite as funny as the Texas Chainsaw 2? No, it doesn't exactly take that same comedic approach. It's funny because it's so outlandish, I think, is what I would say. Was I expecting this from the franchise? Honestly, no, because the 2003 movie is kind of a movie that takes itself so seriously. Same with Texas Chainsaw 2022, even though we get a lot of fun violence, kills, stuff that seems very light and fun, we actually dive in on a lot of deeper topics also, so it seems like that movie took itself kind of seriously as well. But these older installments don't take themselves too seriously, which kind of pleasantly surprises me. I think I'd be more upset to see movies trying to be way too much like the first one, because the first one can't be recreated. It's just a total masterpiece at this point. So how would I rate the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation? Honestly, I'm gonna have to give it like a 2 for our girl Jenny. She is great. I didn't care for the other characters or the story in this one. It was all kind of ridiculous, but we love Renee Zellweger. By the way, Renee Zellweger actually did work with Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused in the 90s as well. There's a point where Jenny actually just tells Matthew McConaughey's character off, which is pretty hilarious, and she even tells Leatherface to sit down. She says something else, but I'm not going to say it because it's on YouTube, but she tells Leatherface to sit down, and he actually is like, okay, he sits down. He gets all scared and he sits. So I found that to be really funny. She just told him, and this is where there's like this inconsistency between the 2022 version and all these other parts of the franchise that I've been watching. Is in all the other installments, Leatherface is still this kind of crazy dependent character that's just following what the others tell him to do, and he's being like bullied the entire time and forced to do things. That is his character. He's very like nervous and kind of manic, but of course they had to change that and make him into a Michael Myers character in 2022, which I wasn't so happy about. I don't have much else to say about this movie, you guys. It's ridiculous, but it's fun, so I actually don't regret watching it, and I don't think it's the worst in this franchise so far. I'm actually looking at my phone right now to see what other movies are in the franchise, and I missed Leatherface, which is technically Texas Chainsaw 3 from 1990, because I actually couldn't find it and I was not willing to pay for a movie like that one. I'm just gonna have to wait till it streams somewhere or something like that. But I've also seen 2003. I'm not really a huge fan of like that type of those early 2000s movies that remake old movies. So even though a lot of people really praise that movie, I don't know if it's my favorite. I'm not crying, I just have allergies. Maybe I'm crying at how bad some of these movies are, like 2022. So in the franchise, I still have 3, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning from 2006, Texas Chainsaw from 2013, and Leatherface from 2017. Now, Texas Chainsaw from 2013, I thought it was 2012. Was that the one with the relative? I think it's the one with the relative. I remember watching that one when it first came out, and that one's not the best from what I remember, but it definitely deserves a rewatch. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's 4 more movies I have to watch from this franchise. Oh my gosh, and I have a feeling these ones are going to just get worse, because a lot of people enjoy 2, and I know people like The Next Generation as well. I've heard some good things about The Beginning, so we're gonna have to see on that. Hopefully I can make it through this franchise before I need to start my Friday the 13th franchise marathon, because the next Friday the 13th we're actually getting, I think, is next month in May. So hopefully I'm able to get through the rest of these Texas Chainsaw movies before that time, but we do need to put this on hold because Robert Eggers' new movie is coming out next weekend, which requires a rewatch of his previous 2, The Lighthouse and The Witch. So I don't know how my movie watching schedule is going to go for the rest of the month, but hopefully we can get to Friday the 13th by May. That way we can put out a full ranking of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise like I did for Nightmare on Elm Street. If you haven't seen that one, I'll link it down below, and same with the Scream franchise, including the new Scream as well, of course. So I think that's all. I am doing a very extra long outro in this video, but if you guys like these types of videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave any requests down below. I'm going to try to post to this channel more often. I have another channel, so that's like my main channel, but this one I try to post whenever I have time, and I'd like to grow this one. I'm very excited about this one. So yeah, help support the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. That really helps me out. And I will see you in the next video. And until then, please tell me what you think of this movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, in the comments. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!